The Autistic Culture Podcast Network, the sound of autistic culture. ACPN.
Welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience podcast, a podcast where we share the lived experiences of neurodivergent people to help create a better understanding for our community.
Join us every week as we bring you honest, raw, and inspiring conversations with specialists, advocates, and individuals who know exactly what it's like to live the neurodivergent experience.
I'm Jordan James, a neurodivergent specialist, father of neurodivergent children, husband to a neurodivergent wife, and author of The Autistic Experience, and I'm joined by my best friend.
I'm Simon Scott. I'm an autistic ADHD broadcaster, actor, and advocate. Join us as we journey into unravelling the neurodivergent experience.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. How you doing? Scotty?
Hello. You alright?
No.
How's your back?
No.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit sore today as well. Now that I'm getting another year older, another lap around the sun, and my back is just like, but why you do this to yourself? I'm like, well, exercise. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. My back is it's basically just teasing me at the moment, and which is what basically I have a pinched nerve. It's not trapped, it's just temporarily pinched. It's not a herniated disc like before, and I can feel it. So I've been doing lots of different sort of stretching exercises to try and compensate for it. And of course, every single time you do it, it works, and then it, pinches back up again. And it's just a continuous thing of just keep, trying until finally the bugger will just release. It's like hit and miss. But I found that like hanging from a bar, so just free hanging from a bar, it has been one of the best things. And it is highly recommended, especially as you're getting older, to do free hanging a lot more because it increases grip strength. And grip strength is one of the things that you lose as you get into your twilight years, that can actually cause so many issues. So it's like, even if you like have to walk with a stick, you have to grip that stick.
Oh, it's when I see people walking with the Zimmer frames, dude, and they're completely bent over and their core just completely disintegrates because they're not supporting themselves. My dad actually mentioned this to me because we're doing a bit of work in my garden at the moment, and we've relaid some patio stones. And I don't know if you've ever heard this phrase, but you'll never hate anybody as much as the person that owned the house before you. Because some of the freaking decisions that they made, like DIY-wise.
Oh, God, yes.
Literally
like in
just
my
like,
garden,
I
wanted to put actual grass down, so we took the paving slabs out, and underneath there, it was just concrete, like, crap. It was just like lots of different crap under there.
So that's what me and my dad have been doing the past weekends or so. And he mentioned something to me where he was like, he's 57 this year, maybe more, maybe less. And we were talking about it, and he was like, he said, I don't want to be like my dad, who when he was 60, when he played golf, he just always had a buggy, and he constantly said he was too old for stuff. And he never kept working and using his body. Like, he never had like impact or like worked on his grip strength or anything. He just sort of sat in a chair at 60 and went, I'm old now, and was old. And I don't want to do that. Yeah, so like we're both going to try and stay as active as we can. I mean, I'm not an old man. I'm in my prime, I'd say. But I am now hitting that age where aches and pains and things kick in and last a bit longer than they used to. So it's just trying to stay fit and healthy, isn't it? But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, mate?
Well, we're kind of talking about that because it's about like you and your dad giving you that advice, but you also being able to give your dad advice, and the brilliant relationship the two of you have built despite going through so many different types of traumas, which, is just every day as a neurodivergent person. That's kind of, we just take them on the chin. But it's about what you do, with that trauma and how you cope with it. But being a parent is basically, it's a huge part of my life. I wouldn't say it's the main part of my life. I wouldn't say I define myself as a parent. I define myself as Jordan. There's a lot of people that do just live their whole life by defining their entire world as being a parent.
Oh yeah, they're a mum and dad first over
Yeah,
absolutely everything.
which
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I
yeah.
have to admit I don't get. I don't get, because for me, my number one is Sylvia. She'll always be my number one. And that's kind of the only thing that's ever really made sense, because I chose Sylvia, right? I chose to have kids, but I didn't choose my kids. If I could, I'd probably choose the exact kids I have. I absolutely love and adore my kids, but I chose Sylvia to be the person that I will be spending the rest of my life with. As a parent, my job was to prepare my kids to leave my house. That's what. That is
funny,
literally what every animal on earth does. Is they have a child, so that child can then be an adult, and that is your job as a parent. You know, we're apes. That's what apes do. They prepare their offspring.
And at the right age, you yeet them off the branch.
Yeah, you just kick them off. Just
Get
fuck
off.
off.
Get off me fruit.
Yeah, those are my leaves. I need space for my bananas.
Do you know what
over
this
here.
reminds me of, dude? Do you remember the Lee Evans sketch where he's like, the evolution of having a child, where it's like, at one age it's get down, and then as soon as they become teenagers it's get up, and then they become adults and it's get out.
Yeah, that is basically come down from there, get up from there, and get out from here. Yeah, absolutely, perfect, love it. Literally my entire life. I'm at that the get out stage. But the thing is that I'm not in a hurry for them to leave. Like I'm not sitting around going get out, and because we are a very, very close knit family. I mean, like recently we've all got into Boggle. Boggle. There's a new Boggle game on Netflix. So you basically interact with it. It's got like a QR code. You put it up on the screen, and then everybody sits around the house and plays Boggle against each other using their phones.
Yeah, cool.
And it's just an interactive Boggle game, and the whole family doing it. My son is basically Rain Man of Boggle.
Brilliant. Sounds fun though.
Oh, it is. And I'm getting better. At the beginning, I was like, cat, K, no, C, shit, I'm out of time. Cut and cat. So I could do a whole episode on dyslexia and how much it's pissing me off lately, but we're not going to do that.
Sponsored by Boggle.
Yeah, sponsored by Boggle. But yeah, so I feel like I'm at this part of my life where I look at both my kids and I look at the partners that they've chosen and how close I am with them as well, that they also now feel like my kids. We're all living in the same house. So literally yesterday, I went out with my my son's other half, Katie, who I think of as basically another one of my kids now. You know, she's another one of my daughters. And it was just the two of us. You know, we went and watched the Minion movie.
All right, yeah, cool.
We had fun. It was a movie that happened. It made us laugh.
Are they near jumping the shark just yet, or
what?
You know the phrase "jumping the shark"?
What's that?
Oh, so do you remember Happy Days? Monday, Tuesday, Happy Days.
Yeah.
Show that was on forever. It reached a point where in one episode the Fonz jumped a shark with a jet ski.
Oh, I see.
And it's a very famous phrase of when a TV show goes on too long, has it jumped the shark?
Oh, well, I mean, I just thought because there was literally a shark in this movie. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's very literal of me then. But no, that's just the coin of phrase of when a franchise maybe overstays its welcome. Does it jump the shark?
I remember the shark. I don't remember them jumping over it though. But okay. No, I don't think it jumped the shark. The experience got a little bit marred there, but there were some people in that was making quite a lot of noise, and it was putting me off. But that's I complained and got free tickets.
Hey.
So hooray for me! Now I'm going to use them to go and watch the Odyssey next weekend.
Nice,
free Odyssey. But yeah, I went and we went for a walk, and we were just chatting, and And she's neurodivergent, obviously, and we were just chatting about like assessments and things, and it was just like hanging out with another one of my kids. And that's it. It's like I can go off and do stuff with just me and Chris. We go off and do photography together. I have this bond with these kids, and they don't have to be my kids, which is the point I was making of like, you have kids, but you don't choose your kids. Your kids are just born. And then they're a product of, their environment, they're a product of nature, nurture. I mean, like listening to Sophie on the podcast the other week, she's literally like a little mini me.
Yeah, she is.
And Sylvia was listening to it. She was like, "Oh my God, it's like, I know that she's just like you, but this is ridiculous."
Oh, me and my dad are like, no one ever joked that I was the postman's. I look like him, I sound like him, we have a similar cadence, hold his hands in the same way. Like I'm definitely his spawn. There's no getting away from that.
Good to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's really fun to sort of see. It's not like the end product because like they're not like that old, but they're 25 and 22, and I'm looking at like if I focus on all the things that I did wrong, then I'm just going to sit around, feeling bad. Right? I've already been through that. We've had therapy through that. We've had, therapy. I've had with my children therapy. I've been actively a dad that gives a shit, that tries to do better every day. That's how I've always lived my life, is that I will just try and be a better person than I was the day before. I'm just trying to improve and trying to improve and trying to improve. And that mentality meant that, okay, so I didn't start off as the best parent ever. No parent does. And
how are you gonna?
Yeah, exactly. I was 19 and got a fucking clue.
Oh, mate, you're still a kid. Like,
I'm still a kid now. Like when I was there, I was a freaking
just an even younger one.
Yeah, I was even younger one, trying to be older, trying to be responsible. And yeah, I got things wrong. But the key takeaway that I wanted to talk about today was boundaries. And the fact that I was watching a YouTube video and I was not aware that it was this bad. I'm very disconnected from the world in general, I feel, because I've got my hobby. I'm very autistic in that way. I've got my hobbies, and if they're not in my hobbies, then I'm not really interested.
You don't retain that information.
Yeah. So I can't. That's why I like watching YouTube videos where I can actually, discover things about the world that everybody else seems to know, but from completely past me by. Like, what was it? I like watching Papa Meat because he'll do like breakdowns of videos of like different things on the internet, like Swifties.
Yeah,
I had no idea what Swifties
like cultural commentary breakdowns.
Yeah,
and stuff
exactly.
Like
the people who,
I like stuff like that.
Who love Wicked and what and them singing in the cinema and ruining other people's experiences.
Yeah.
Like I had mine ruined a bit yesterday because of stupid people doing stupid things. But it's because I don't know about these things. I always find it really, really interesting. And I was watching this video about, Gen Alpha. Honestly, I was like,
next one's up, aren't
we're there now. Everyone's complaining about Gen Z. I'm not, but everyone seems to be complaining about Gen Z. But now now Gen Z are complaining about Gen Alpha, and I'm like, I see a pattern here.
Oh yeah, it's
no one likes the generation that comes after them.
No one ever worked harder than my generation in the good old days. Said Gen X and Boomers and the War generation and the Victorians. Just keep fucking passing it along. Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah, it does seem like that. But what we've got now is Gen X teachers moaning about Gen Alpha kids in their class, right? But they're filming themselves moaning about it. And I'm looking at it from my generation like, why did you have to film yourself saying this? What is there not like a pub you can go to that you can
that.
like or like a teacher's lounge where you can just talk shit about the kids? I mean, isn't that the tradition? Teachers just talk shit about the kids because some kids, including myself, were an absolute fucking
It can't
nightmare.
ethically be very good, that, as a teacher, going online and...
No, I think it's fucking terrible.
Like, I've got a friend who's a teacher, and I've been round their house, and they've had a bottle of wine, and we've had a good rant, and they were like, fucking kids. But they would never go online and film themselves saying that. It's like when you see people have accidents and stuff, and rather than help the person up, they're filming them. They're
just
are you
filming
alright? Like, no,
100%.
put the camera down. I'm bleeding out.
Well, I'll give you a good example of like me versus like the most people, it seems, even like the older generation, is that there was a lady, an older lady in Cafe Nero the other day, and she'd gone to the toilet, come back, and her skirt was like stuck up into her pants.
Oh, yes. Unfortunate.
And I just said to Sylvia, I was like, please go and tell her. So I was like, trying to look away, and I was like, that poor lady, she has no idea. And she was up getting a coffee.
Sensational.
And no, everyone's just ignoring it. And I'm like, I can't go and say it. I don't feel comfortable in saying it because I'm a bloke and I'm
Excuse
just
me.
like, yeah, excuse me, love, I see your
Your cheek.
Yeah, not okay. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just like,
real.
I feel so bad for her, and I'm just like, babe, just go and tell her. Now Sylvia is not that person. She was that person in that moment because I asked her, and I was like, if it was you, babe, wouldn't you want someone to say something? And Sylvia's like, no, you're right. Because Sylvia's a really good person, but, she has that very neurodivergent shyness.
Very Alex-theming, yeah.
Oh, very, very much so. I'm the person that will always get her to push through those boundaries because, like I said, I complain in the cinema and get free tickets. That's kind of like nearly every time I go to the cinema, I've realised that ever since I was a kid and I watched this movie called Larger Than Life and I got free tickets, I realised I can get free tickets just by complaining. It's kind of a hack. But yeah, so she went and just, said to this woman very quietly, and the woman was so appreciative, and she pulled down her dress, and she was so appreciative. And Sylvia comes back, and I was like, what happened? She's like, oh, she said, really, thank you very much. And I was like, see, doesn't that feel good? She's like, yeah, it does actually, because she also felt bad for the lady. But that's the kind of person I am, and what you were saying is that it's like so many people would have just filmed it, and then. I keep seeing this phrase across every reel, like stitch incoming and shit like this. When it's nothing they're recording is funny. There is no Stitch. The only Stitch that I can think of is like Lilo and Stitch, of like you are literally a badly behaved alien creature.
And also like the Stitch incoming thing. A Stitch on Instagram is somebody reacting, so it'd be like the two windows that you and I have got in our filming window, except in my window was something that was filmed, and then your face is just there reacting to it, being like, argh.
I keep seeing that. I'm like, I'm watching a video of somebody else watching a video and
but
them
kids
reacting
do it in
to
a mad way, man.
Video. It's like the weirdest thing.
Like, as an example, right? This is something that I found odd. We'll get back to the boundaries thing because I'm interested to hear your point on it. In that I will see a lot of videos online of people arguing, filming each other. They'll be in the street arguing, and they'll have cameras in each other's faces. Like, when you see in the US, like police brutality videos where people are filming the police. People do that with everything. It's like you'll be in Asda, and somebody will steal something, and people will stand around, or they'll all start filming it. And then the person that's stolen something, or then film the person that's telling them off and being like, I want to know your name, I'm going to put this online. Like, I have thought about it a few times. There is a guy who lives up my street who never picks up his dog shit. Ever. And I've seen him do it, and he's the sort of bloke that he gives off the aura that he wants somebody to say something to him. And further down the street, there's a guy who smokes cigarettes out his back porch and just flicks the butts into the street, and they're everywhere. And I'm like, whatever. But I know for a fact, if I was to confront those people, they would film me and put it on Facebook. And be like, who's this fucking Mark? Or like put it in like the estate group chats. This is a very common thing in society now, and I find it fucking weird.
I see, I'm the person that would be sneaky about it, and I'd go around picking all that dog shit up and all those butts and I would literally put them through the letterbox.
But this is the thing with Ring cameras, and like it's not. It's
at night with a balaclava. I'm smarter than you think.
But there's a camera everywhere.
If it's not in somebody's hands, I'm just giving it back. I'm giving the dog shit back.
But this is the society that we live in, dude.
Over a fence or something.
It's like I've seen videos of, like, not through choice, because Instagram just goes brr, 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 and just throws stuff at you. I've seen footage of people filming teachers crashing out at kids, where like kids are misbehaving in class, like what you were saying earlier, and the teachers are having a go at them, and they just start filming the teachers, like.
Yeah.
Like the Gen Alpha lot are they're very intrinsically tied to their tech. Like it's so deeply ingrained into everything that they sort of do. It's odd.
Right, let's delve deeper. But let's have a break first.
Hi, I'm Sophie James, a neurodivergent mentor with 4 years of experience supporting neurodivergent individuals. As an autistic and ADHD woman myself, I know firsthand what it's like growing up in a neurotypical world and trying to navigate spaces that weren't built with our brains in mind. Whether you're neurodivergent yourself or supporting a neurodivergent child or teen, I offer experience-led peer mentoring grounded in understanding, connection, and neuroaffirming support. Together, we explore strengths, build confidence, and develop practical ways to navigate life while embracing who you are. If you'd like to learn more about my mentoring work, visit sophiejamesndmentoring.com.
Hi, everyone. It's Ashley Dupuy here, the in-house therapist on the Neurodivergent Experience and host of Mindful Mondays. And if you've been listening to these podcasts and thinking, gosh, I'd love to explore this work more deeply, I'd love to let you know about what's coming next. This September, I'll be opening a small group coaching cohort, a gentle, supportive space to explore the kind of work we've been doing here together. So if you've been resonating with the From Mask to Map series, or with the deeper themes we've been exploring on Mindful Mondays, this will be a chance to take that work further in community with guidance, reflection, and practical tools to help you understand yourself more clearly and move through life with more ease. So if that speaks to something in you, I'd love to hear from you. You can register your interest by emailing me at integrativeiom@gmail.com, and you can also keep an eye out on integrativeiom.co.uk, where I'll be sharing more details over the coming weeks.
Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. We've been discussing parenting and kids and the phones and a bit of tech and boundaries. So before the break, dude, you were about to delve deeper into parenting and boundaries. So take it away.
I mean, like let me reiterate, like, why I think that I'm, like, I can be sitting here giving other people advice, or like, this is what you should do. I mean, both my kids have highly respected degrees. One got a degree in economics from a London university, and Sophie's got a degree in marine biology from Exeter University. And both of them are very good at what they're doing. Sophie, obviously, people have heard her on the podcast. She's starting her own business. My son works for a company where he basically does data analysis and accounts and things like this, and stuff that monumentally bores me. But he's been very successful, and he's very well liked. He's very well liked. Both my kids are very active. Both of them are into sports and fitness, and they
well-rounded kids, aren't they?
They are just flourishing, and it's not just them flourishing. The relationship with Sylvia and I flourishes. We are always hanging out with each other, doing stuff together, playing video games, going on walks, going on holidays. We are very, very good as a family unit. Now, that's important because now, like I said, I'm in this place where I'm looking at the next generation. And I would even look at the generation of like when my kids were younger, and I would look at other parents and I would look at them. And this is a word that I will always like get wrong. It's either mollycoddling or moddycoddling. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, it's a funny one, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's mollycoddling.
Probably.
Yeah, we got but it's coddling essentially. Now, there is a very difficult decision that a parent must make of a child, but there is it times it, like most things with being neurodivergent, times that by 10, if not more. When you have a neurodivergent child, now keep in mind, I did not know my kids were neurodivergent. Had I known, maybe my parenting would have been not weaker, but certainly I would have made better decisions. And as soon as I did find out my kids are neurodivergent, that's when my decision making became like based on that.
It was more aligned.
Yeah, so I was certainly more forgiving of mistakes. No, like I said, I can't say that I was great, but I every day I tried to be better. Every day I fucking tried.
But you
I
work
was
with the information that you've got, right?
Yeah,
And once it changes, you change.
I was an active parent. That's how I describe it. Like I wanted to be a great parent, and I wanted my kids to be great, and I wanted to do great things with them and be great for them. When I got it wrong, I would then correct that all the time. So giving this advice isn't saying that the parents out there are doing something wrong. I'm just saying that maybe you need to sort of correct your trajectory to hit the target, as it were. So what I used to see and what I'm currently seeing with this gentle parenting is like the polar opposite to abusive parenting. And in a weird way, now I'm not calling it abusive, but it is harmful. Overly gentle parenting is harmful because the world is not gentle. The world will never be gentle. If anything, it's getting less gentle every day because you can't even leave your house without feeling shitty because you read something and how you react to something. And I think if we bring up kids that think that they can do whatever they want, they can have whatever they want, they can, push those boundaries and nothing will ever come back, they're going to have a very tough time when they get into work and when they have to deal with the police, when they have to deal with authority, when they have to pay taxes and deal with government officials or doctors or anything. When they have responsibilities, if you overcoddle them, if you do everything for them, if you bring those kids up with the idea that, oh, I've protected them, I've done my job because I've done everything for them, well, you've actually just harmed them because now they can't do anything for themselves.
So this is something that I've thought about as somebody who's, unless something drastically changes, and is not going to have kids. And I often think about, not just even with neurodivergent children, but just children in general, is how do you accommodate their needs without unintentionally limiting their independence or their resilience? Because I think about like my sensory issues and some of the challenges that I have, but you can't avoid every uncomfortable situation.
No, of course not.
You can't. Like, I've had it where I struggle with confrontation because I don't like confrontation, but I find if somebody pokes the bear, I react in a big way. And, I think that's quite common with a lot of neurodivergent people. We feel threatened and we kick off. And I have worked with Gen Z and I've seen a lot of them come into the workplace, and I'm not going to get on that bandwagon of, oh, they're all soft, none of them have got backbones, because that's bollocks. I've seen some people work incredibly hard.
Look at my kids, they're Gen Z.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that I have experienced, though, is there are a fair amount of Gen Z people that I've interacted with that do not understand what the word no is. Like, they will fucking push it. They'll push it with you. And I found, like, I worked with a guy, nice lad, but it's not that he didn't have a work ethic. He thought he was better than the work. And we were working, this was when I was running that bar, and he was a nice lad, and he, you know, I could see that he could do it, but he gave off this sort of arrogance that he was better than it. And he rubbed people up the wrong way. And when I got there, he was like, why have you been made one of the managers? I've been here longer than you. And I was like, well, I think the question you need to ask yourself, mate, is why didn't you get the job? Not why I got the job. Because I'm older than you. I've got a lot more experience. And I was running bars when you were literally 8, 9 years old. Because I'm nearly 10 years older than you. And he would not let it go, dude. He had a problem with me because I got a job that he thought he deserved. To the point of it started to affect his work, where like I would tell him to do stuff and he'd just be like, fuck off. And it was hard. Like I found it really hard not to lose my cool with him a lot of the time. And over the year that I worked with him, I felt like I finally got through to him towards the end, because we had this confrontation where he'd been in work for like an hour and a half and he was hungover. He'd been out the night before. And he went, oh, I hate working here. I don't want to be here today. And I turned to him and I went, go home. I says, but I promise you, if you go home, you won't come back. And he proper got upset with me. He was like, you're trying to fire me. I'm like, I'm not. You're trying to fire yourself. I'm like, you're literally saying that you don't want to be here. When you are here, you act like you don't want to be here. You go on your lunch break for over an hour and a half and you bugger off and leave everybody. You just go on smoke breaks whenever you want. I'm like, you do not respect anybody that you work with, so why would anybody respect you? And he literally looked at me as if I'd just slapped him in the face. He was like, I can't believe you're speaking to me like this. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? What do you mean? What do you mean you can't believe I'm speaking? And it literally, I went home and it spun me off the clock for days, because I could not believe that somebody being told to just book their ideas up at work and just try a bit harder and be respectful of other people was like I'd literally just spat on him. It just baffled me, absolutely baffled me, and it stuck with me. Because I was like, oh, that's strange. And I've experienced it elsewhere as well, where I've been in shops and I just see people trash the place. And it's like younger sort of people, and they're all fucking around in shops and throwing things at each other, and they're all filming each other like it's funny. And I don't get it, but I can see where it's come from, in the there's just been parents that have just sort of just let the kids just do what they want and never sort of set a boundary with them and been like, you don't do that to other people, you respect other, do you know what I mean?
What I found really, really interesting about this video that I was watching was the fact that it's almost like Gen Z are like, I can't believe how bad Gen Alpha are. Like, we were never like this. And I'm looking at it going, fuck off.
You're basically the same generation.
You
so
were
similar.
exactly like that.
Yeah.
My generation was exactly like that. I used to do shit that I absolutely would piss people off.
We just didn't film it.
And get in trouble.
We just got away
I just
with it.
didn't film it. I'll tell you one of the worst things that I absolutely did is that there was a pub landlord who was an absolute dick of my local pub. Wouldn't let me drink beer at the age of 12. What a dick, right? So I was like, oh, I hate this guy. So what I did in my very stupid child brain with the parents, because my parents were abusive, my parents were neglectful, my parents were downright fucking awful, but they also didn't set boundaries. They would absolutely let me get away with so much shit, which is like, it sounds paradoxical. It doesn't make sense. But
you've learned the lesson in your own way. So.
But no, but because what they would punish me for was things that weren't my fault. But when I actually acted out, they were just like, "Oh, he's just being a child." It was the weirdest shit. Because if it was personal to them, they would punish me. But if it was to anyone else, they'd be like, "Well, you know, it's not his fault. He's just a kid." So they just didn't want to take any responsibility. Yeah, they basically just didn't want to take any responsibility for their shit parenting.
They didn't want it to be on their doorstep. I get that.
Yeah. So they wanted everybody else to think that I was a great kid. So they would just, make excuses for me. My excuse was the fact that no one really seemed to give a shit about me.
He just kept
so
doing
I was
stuff.
just like, whatever. So what I did, and this is horrible, I can't believe I did this. I systematically went around every single car in the car park on like a busy Saturday night, and I let all their tyres down.
Dude, that's very naughty.
I didn't damage them. I didn't like slash them.
That's
anything.
very
I
naughty,
just
dude.
and then just oh, it's fucking awful. Like, what a little shit.
And do you know why you
And-
did that? Can you remember?
Because-
Can you remember why you just did it?
Well, yeah, because I was pissed off at the guy that owned the pub, but because he was a dick, he really was. But also because I just hated grown-ups. And I was like, you all lot, freaking grown-ups in the pub, and you all seem to be having
right,
fun.
I have to ask you.
I fucking hated grown-ups. And I hated grown-ups because every grown-up treated me like shit.
So I have to ask you, right? I grew up knowing consequences existed. Like, if I was to do something like that, well, I never really did anything like that. There were times where I wanted to, where I felt like I wanted to lash out, or I was angry at how somebody had spoken to me or treated me or whatever. But I was always so aware of the consequences of my actions, and that if I did something wrong, what happened next was out of my control. And whether it was with teachers or with my parents or whatever, and I would naturally stop myself doing stuff like that because I was like, ooh, this isn't okay. And what happens next, I don't have control over, so I'm not going to do it. And I think my mum and dad were really, really good at that. But I can understand, like, with impulse control and being ND, how you're almost in, like, that meltdown state and you get vengeful. You just do. You could just do stuff if you didn't have that, like, boundaries built into your sort of, like, psyche. You would just do stuff uncontrollably, wouldn't you?
Oh, I would do awful stuff. There was a tree that I used to climb that went above, like, a road. It was like a back road. It wasn't used very much. It was like an off the beat road. So you wouldn't get, it's not like cars. It was like, every half an hour there might be a car.
Well, you grew up in the countryside, so...
Yeah, literally in the middle of the countryside. This was a road that would lead to a farm, and a farm shop. And, it just wasn't very busy. And we're talking about, like, late 80s, early 90s. So it's like not as many people and not as many cars. But I used to sit up there. It was kind of like one of my bases, one of my kid bases.
Mm-hmm.
I'd sit up there, and I'd sit up there with my younger brother. And, we would get bangers. Now, if people...
Yeah.
I'm not talking about sausages, obviously, to people who don't understand what a banger is. A banger is like I don't know what it is. It's like a piece of paper wrapped up with, I think, gunpowder or something
There's
inside.
something, isn't there? It's like a flinty thingy, but you drop them in, they go pop.
Yeah, you throw them, and if they hit something, they go bang. Yeah, you don't light them or anything like that. They're not dangerous,
Like old school Bart Simpson
If you threw it
accessory.
in someone's eye, it literally wouldn't explode because an eyeball is not hard enough for the impact to make the bang. It just hit you in the eye. You'd be like, ow, in my eye. But as cars drove by, I would throw them at the car. It didn't do damage to the car. I wasn't throwing rocks and shit like that. I'd never do that. But I'd imagine it would probably fucking scare the shit out of someone as they're driving past and they just go bang.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of the times, I don't think they probably even heard it. But it was a stupid thing to do. And I would do stuff like this all the time because where I lived, there was literally nothing to do, okay? And I would do this stuff because my parents didn't do stuff with me. They didn't, especially my dad, he wouldn't interact with me unless it was on his terms. So I would do this stuff because literally I was a kid, I was out by myself, I was bored, and my immediate thing was, oh, I'm just going to go and cause trouble. I never got caught. I never got punished. I taught myself to not do these things. As I grew older, I was like, well, no, I can't. You shouldn't do that. You can't do that. So weirdly enough, I created my own boundaries when I had no boundaries. I created my own boundaries, but it took so much to do that. And I used to get in so much shit because when I did get caught, my parents wouldn't do anything, but I'd get, I got suspended from school. I got threatened with expulsion because I was punching people, because I was headbutting people. I was very, very violent. I was very naughty. I used to steal stuff from shops, not because my parents wouldn't buy it for me, but because it was the rush. It was fun. It was like, oh, shoplifting.
We're trying to feel something.
Yeah, no, I did it because like no one seemed to care about me. So I was like, fuck it, whatever. And instead of being like, a good child, which I am inside, inside I'm just like, oh, I want to work and I want to learn and I just had this rebellious side to me of like, well, I don't have any boundaries and I'm very, very smart. Like, I don't like to, I don't want to push that, but like, I'm not a dumb kid that was doing dumb things and then getting caught. I was a very smart kid doing very stupid things, but because I was smart, I knew exactly how to get away with them.
It's like the whole Bart Simpson thing.
Yeah, I knew how to manipulate adults in order to get away with things. I used to fake going home from school. I used to pretend I was ill all the time because I didn't want to deal with school. Now, I wouldn't say that was bad. I think that was bad at the school because I hated school. But I would manipulate everyone around me in order to be able to just get away with shit. I was I wouldn't say I was a bad child. I was a good child behaving badly. And that is 100% was down to my parents because they didn't create boundaries. It was literally, I remember like the worst punishment I ever got from the beating that I got from my dad, which we were watching a TV show and they hinted at a swear word. So they said, "fa," and then it went to another scene and he was like, "Oh, I can't believe they're swearing on television." I'm like, he would swear all the time, by the way. So the hypocriticalness was absolutely ridiculous.
I've experienced this with people.
He'd be like, "Oh, look, why are they fucking swearing on that fucking telly?" And he turned it off. And I'm like, "Why have you turned it off? We were watching a show together. Why have you turned it off?" "Oh, they're swearing." No, they didn't swear. "Oh, don't you tell me." And he just went off on one, right? And then I basically started having a go at him. He started having a go at me. And, that's when he physically assaulted me. And then I physically assaulted him back. And that was the last time he ever touched me. And I think that also, that sort of shift in dynamic. I was 13 and I'd made my dad bleed. He was scared of me.
That is unfortunately a thing that happens with a lot of young men that are abused by their dads. I've met quite a few guys that were abused by their dads, and there is always that moment of when they fight back and then they realise that they can't beat the kid up anymore and they stop.
Yeah, I think it's pretty pathetic of my dad
common,
that 13-year-old took him out, but I was burly.
But it's normally that age, dude. It's 13, 14.
Yeah, I'd started learning boxing. I'd started learning how to protect myself, and I'd learned exactly how to hurt people. I knew how to hurt people, and he didn't. He was an IT nerd. And
he's punching down,
punching a child, and that's the only person he's ever punched in his life was me. He never got into a fight. He just beat up his kid instead. I mean, it wasn't like it was like a regular thing. It was just this was my dad having a meltdown. That's what was happening. It was unrecognized neurodivergence, and he was having and then when you understand like how terrible my birth mother was, like how fucking awful she was, especially to him. She was a mean woman. So he had to put up with her as well. And he just had a meltdown. I mean, his work was shit. And I sound like I'm trying to make excuses for my dad beating me up. But like at the end of the day, I can actually understand that. But because that power dynamic shifted, I realised, like, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to take this shit. Yeah, and like I said, when my brother died when I was 16, I was looking out for blood.
Well, yeah, because you were just so incredibly unregulated all the time.
Like you know that little red dude in what is it? Oh god damn it, the Disney movie.
Not Inside Out.
Inside Out. I'm the little red dude. But when he's on fire, that was me all the time.
Just woke up on fire. But this is interesting. Like I appreciate you. I know that's not easy to talk about. I appreciate you sharing it. But that is something that I've thought about as a parent, is like how, obviously with like neurodivergent children, the sensory meltdowns, but a lot of the time, I think when I was growing up and was undiagnosed, a lot of my sensory meltdowns were viewed as challenging behaviour, and I felt bad for having those behaviours in a way, like when I got like overly excited or I got overly upset, or I remember there was one time when I was younger, I was on a playground and I got quite a nasty splinter in my foot and I had like a really bad meltdown and I had to be dragged out of a restaurant, kicking and screaming and things like that. And for a long time, that was never viewed as, oh, Simon's got sensory issues. It was, he has challenging behaviours. And in a lot of ways, I masked myself a lot to try and work on those challenging behaviours, as quote unquote. So I can imagine as a parent, what, you know, you almost have your before diagnosis, after diagnosis with your kids. What changed for you? Like, once you figured out about the sensory thing, did you view your kids differently? Or, like, how you treated them differently? Like, what changed?
Yeah, I mean, weirdly enough, I actually found out, yeah, you can cross this one off your bingo card, synaptic pruning.
Oh, ding, ding, ding.
Way before I found out that I was neurodivergent. And it came when, because my kids were so well behaved. They were, I mean, Simon was difficult with his demand avoidance, which obviously I had no idea what the hell that was. I just thought that he hated me for a long time, that he would do the exact opposite to everything I told him to. And yeah, Simon was hard work and Sophie was not. But it completely changed when they were teenagers. But in order to prepare for them being teenagers, I remember someone at my work saying, oh, you wait, because I was like, oh, my kids do this and do this. And they say, yeah, your kids are lovely, but you wait till they're teenagers. And I'm like, I don't see why they would be so different. You know, living in my fantasy world. Mm-hmm. No, my kids will always be perfect. And so I actually, instead of just being like, oh, kids are different, you know, and everyone goes through the teenage years or the Kevin years. If
I was just about to say, if
Harry
Kevin and Perry.
The Kevin and Perry years.
Oh, God, you're so bloody embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm not your slave.
Yeah, I'm not your slave.
I hate you.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, literally, that was spot on. It was the most accurate.
Oh, my dad used to call me Kevin all the time, and then he was like, as soon as your mum comes in, he's like, who, Miss Patterson? Who, Miss Patterson?
I was like, stop doing your Kevin face. And I like this, you know, the person at work, they said that, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go and do research. Why does this happen? So even back then, before I knew that they were neurodivergent, before I knew I was neurodivergent, I was already preparing for them to be teenagers in order for me to understand where they were coming from. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was just always tired, always moody. You know, I didn't want to go to bed, but, you know, I needed to go to bed, and I always, like I said, always knackered. Didn't really want to talk to people, didn't really want to communicate. And like I said, that's like times 10 when you're neurodivergent, you know. So with my kids, I was like, okay, well, why? And it's because of the synaptic pruning process when they're teenagers, which obviously that's the second round of it. You know, I had no idea the connection to neurodivergence that would have. I was just wondering why teenagers are so unresponsive, why they go from, like, you know, energetic kids that just want to know everything about everything to kids that barely want to, you know, communicate with you, you know, will get out of bed or, you know, give you more than a, you know, grunt and what do you want? What do you want?
Why you leave me alone?
Yeah,
that's why I used to.
And it's literally the synaptic pruning process. It's literally the thing that literally turns their brains into mush. And it's such an energetic, what's the word I'm looking for? Energetic experience and process that the brain goes through, because your brain is basically controlling everything. Your brain controls everything. So your brain works super hard as it is, because, it, you know, for a start, it's got to help you breathe. Without your brain, you can't breathe.
Oh, no, I went on manual again.
Yeah. And so your brain is doing all these things, but also it's basically destroying itself and recreating itself.
It's like caterpillar in the cocoon sort of thing, isn't it? It like melts certain bits, but it's still functioning while that's happening.
See, that is a fucking great idea. all kids between the age of 13 and 17 should go into hibernation.
Well, it's funny you say that, right?
We just stick them in hibernation.
But when we were hunter-gatherers, it's very, very common that at like 14, 15, you would leave your tribe and go on a walkabout and spend time with other tribes. Well, one, to stop incest in the species, like close related, but also that's the thing of like, you stop listening to your parents because your brain is trying to tell you to go on a walkabout and go to another tribe and be independent and have your own experiences and then come back and be a part of the family unit. I find that really interesting. But I agree. It's like with teenagers, you could almost do with not sending them to boarding school, but you're right. Yeah, they could probably just do with a good lie-in for a few years and then let them come out and get on with it.
Yeah. So I was looking at this and that definitely made me adjust my parenting style when they did get to teenage years. And like I said, it was really strange because Simon seemed to become, and like I said, this is why I think the second round of synaptic pruning is so important within the neurodivergence, because I've said this before, we get labeled as like a certain level of autism or functioning labels and shit like this that I absolutely hate as a child. And then you can't get rid of them. It's like, oh, you're level 2 and you're level 2 forever. And it's like, that's not how the fucking synaptic pruning process works. That so many, and we've seen this in Steve Silverman's fucking book, Neurotribes.
Brilliant book.
And with so many examples of neurodivergent kids, mostly autistic kids, you know, saying that, oh, they'll never work, they'll never live a quote unquote normal life.
They'll never play baseball.
Yeah, never play baseball. But when they go to teenage years, it's like they suddenly get it. You know, they make leaps and bounds. They might never catch up with their peers around them, but in comparison to how they were, they make leaps and bounds. And that is down to the synaptic pruning process. Sometimes it doesn't make leaps and bounds. Sometimes it doesn't take effect. And that's the point, that we have a lack or an abundance of synaptic pruning. It's a freaking, our synaptic pruning is a fucking lottery.
Yeah,
right?
it is, yeah.
And that's why the spectrum is so vast and so different, and from like severely disabled to, you know, mildly inconvenienced at times, you know.
That's one way of putting it.
I mean, that's like the nicest way.
It's that sugarcoating it, yeah.
It's like today when I'm playing my Doom Revelations DLC, I'm mildly inconvenienced by the fact that, you know, I have like a Tourette's thing in my hand and I keep shooting.
Well, you have to go and use the loo while you're mid-mission or something.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, demand avoidance. Yeah, so occasionally I'm mildly inconvenienced and sometimes I'm very disabled by it. But that's the point, is that we're so different. And until the teenage years, you have no idea what kind of neurodivergent person you are now the parent of. But if you don't prepare yourself and your child by putting boundaries in place when they're young, when the first round of synaptic pruning is going. So I'm talking 1, 2, 3 years old, right? No matter the type of neurodivergent person they will end up being, they will be a better version of that neurodivergent person if you have put those boundaries in place. And boundaries don't include smacking your kids. That's abuse. Boundaries are, you're not going to do that. And if you don't do that, this is the punishment. Now, you don't have to use the word punishment. I think there is these are the consequences. I think punishment's always a bit hard. But at the end of the day, if you murder someone and you go to court and you go to prison, that's consequences, but that's also a punishment. That is a punishment by law. So hiding from the word punishment, I also don't think is going to help. But, you know, I say consequences when you're a kid, punishment when you're a teenager, and then, you know, you get them. It's like step by step by step. You know, you don't just go in there hard on a 2-year-old and be like, "What are you doing? You should be more grown up than this."
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So at 2, or whatever their behaviour is at 2, because everyone's different. I also think that the understanding that neurodivergent people are always going to be younger. You know, they're always going to act younger. So things like, you know, cuddly toys or content like cartoons or whatever, and you think, oh, they're too young for that. Don't ever turn around and go, you're too young for that. That's harmful. That's harmful. When I talk about boundaries, I'm not talking about boundaries to convenience you in the eyes of other people, that your 12-year-old wants to wear a Bluey t-shirt. That's fine. You should allow a 12-year-old to wear a Bluey t-shirt. You shouldn't be like, oh, aren't you?
Hey, they've got some great merch from Bluey, you know.
Oh, the movie's coming out as well. Oh, no, Paw Patrol. That was the one I was thinking.
Paw Patrol, yeah.
Paw Patrol. That shit's awesome for kids. I mean, I'm a SpongeBob through and through if we're talking about neurodivergent cartoons.
I'm a Scooby-Doo guy myself.
Oh, I love Scooby-Doo. It's just come out on Netflix. I'm going to be watching all the way through the old Scooby-Doos. But anyway, I digress. But it's understanding what boundaries need to be put in place. And that comes with experience. That I mean, some kids, you'll be like, don't you do that? And they'll be like, okay.
Yep,
there might be people pleasers.
I was one of those kids.
Or some kids might be like demand avoidant and very, very difficult. Demand avoidance is, PDA is very, very difficult. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. And I do see this, and I'm seeing this more and more because of screens. It's like lazy parenting. Yeah. So lazy parenting goes on, my kid is screaming, here, have a screen.
Oh, dude, I see the amount of kids that I see walking around supermarkets with like iPads in the trolleys. Yeah, I bet they're like 2, 3, and it does worry me.
That's not parenting.
Where it's just like, stick a screen in front of them and let them watch Cocomelon or something.
That ain't parenting. I'm not saying that if you have a neurodivergent child, and that will actually help your shopping experience because it distracts them. It's like a stim for them. Maybe that works. But if that is your go-to move for every time your kid is being in a difficult situation, that's not healthy, because being with your child and helping them through that difficult situation by getting them to confront that difficult situation, that's parenting. You have to put the fucking effort in. That's parenting. Parent isn't shooting at a child and going, bye. That's being a turtle. Don't be a turtle. Don't lay the egg, fuck off, and let the turtle like figure it out by himself.
Seagull or something.
Yeah, because
very specific.
the world is the seagull. The world will eat your child alive because you're not paying attention. Because having a kid is not an accessory. Having a kid isn't a fashion statement. Having a kid is not content, as it is for so many fucking people putting their kids on.
So many kids
fucking like, look at what my kid's doing.
Really scary.
I saw a makeup tutorial by a 3-year-old. I wanted to fucking lose my shit. Like, what?
Oh, dude, what was that advert that was on?
And by the way, I only saw that because it was in this video that was showing what Gen Alpha is happening with.
What was the thing that I saw
the other day? Seeking out content.
There was an ad that was like this girl walking down the street with her mum, and she's holding her mum's hand, and every stranger that walked past goes, "Oh, I saw your dance rehearsal. Well done." And it's like, be careful what you put on of your kids online, and it shows like all these strangers walking past commenting on the kid, and the kid's like, how do all these people know everything about me? And it's like, because your mum posts absolutely everything that you do online.
Also, I thought we have a world where consent is a thing, and then suddenly there is no such thing as consent, because a 3-year-old can't consent.
So boundaries are also for the parents as well as the kids.
Parental boundaries. Boundary yourself.
Sure.
Like, literally, your kid is not an accessory. That is a human that you are now not in charge of, by the way. You're not in charge of. You're responsible.
Yeah.
You're responsible for. You chose to have a kid. You chose to have that responsibility. Now, in my opinion, there are too many people that are not responsible enough to have children that seem to just have them anyway. And again, that's not a now thing. That's always been the case.
Well, what was it in Victorian times? Children got to like 3-4 years old and then they were allowed a name. So that because they were like, oh, that's the 3rd child. If he gets to 5 and survives, we shall name him.
Well, I mean, we've got to call him something when he gets trapped down into the mine.
Oh no,
Timmy, come down.
My 4th son is trapped in the mill machine again.
Yeah, number 4. We just name them like.
But it's a horrible histories reference. That's what I remember.
It was a freaking Dr. Zeus thing 1 and thing 2.
Just the
Child
boy.
1 and child 2.
Yeah, it's messed
the
up.
yellow-haired one.
But no, yeah, there are. There are a lot of people where it's like I know people that they go, "Oh, I'm thinking of having a kid," and I just go, "Why?"
But what I was saying was like when I was putting boundaries in place, and I felt, if anything, my boundaries were too harsh. So I wouldn't say they're obviously I was doing the opposite to what my parents do, and I was a very active parent, so I was always doing stuff with my kids. I was always in their life, and because I was always in their life, I knew everything they were doing. And I'm not a helicopter parent of just like hovering around. But I'll give you a perfect example of my parenting versus everybody else's parenting at the time that my kids were little kids. So Simon was about 8-9 years old, and he's playing football. That's soccer, if you're listening in the US.
Soccer.
It's that thing that Trump basically ruined, or FIFA ruined. And he got kicked in the face with a ball. It happens. It wasn't deliberate. It was, he's a defender. He got in the way.
And that's what your face is for.
That is what your face is fair game.
An extension of
you
the ball
can't
stopping
use your
abilities.
hands, but you can use your face. So he used his face inadvertently, and his nose started bleeding.
Yeah, as it does.
Now, my parenting thing is that he comes over, and I'm like, "Are you all right?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, my nose is bleeding." I was like, "Yeah, I can see that. Are you all right?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm just, because I didn't care that his nose is bleeding. That's what happens. Noses bleed. Noses bleed if you sneeze too much or you pick your nose. Noses bleed.
I was picking my nose on a bus once, and we went over a speed bump, and I got a nosebleed.
There you go. You're not dying from a nosebleed. A
Unless you
nosebleed is a nosebleed. I care. Do you have concussion? How is your brain in this moment? So I'm checking him and asking him questions like, and all these mums run over, because I'm the only dad there apparently, and they're just like, "Oh, is he okay? Is he okay?" I say, "Yeah, he's fine. He's just got bleeding nose. I'm just checking him, for the concussion." And they're like, "Oh my God, his nose is bleeding. His nose is bleeding." I can clearly see his nose is bleeding. You don't need to tell me this. And they proceeded to then try and physically put his head back. And I went, "What are you doing?" And they went, "Oh, you've got to stop the bleeding." I went, "No, you've got to let the blood come out.
You've got to push it out.
If you put your head back, you're basically putting the blood back into his body.
You're
it needs
drowning
to come
yourself
out
in
again. It's so bad to put your head back. You can pinch the nose. You can do that if you really want.
I was always stick your head over a sink and ride it out, sort of.
Yeah, he's outside. He's on grass. He's not on the pitch. He's off to the side. I mean, just bleed it out, man. And that's what he was doing because that's what I taught him. It's not compassionate because I give a shit. I'm like, "Are you okay?" He's got tears in his eyes and stuff. And
it's a sore one.
And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus Christ," and I'm like, "Are you okay?" So I'm asking the question. I'm letting him tell me how he is rather than just assuming that I've now got to do things for him. So it's not that I don't care. It's that I actually want him to get through this, himself. But I'm there as a safety net in case there is something more serious. Then I'm the adult and maybe I need to take him to the hospital. I mean, that boy has had, I think he's on 4 or 5 surgeries now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like,
that's 5 more than I've had.
And this is not through I didn't care about him. So the first one, I think he basically had like a cyst in his ear that just happens. And he had to get it removed, and he was very young. And if he hadn't got it removed, it could have got worse. So again, nothing to do with parenting.
Yeah, just got dealt with.
Another thing was we fed him really well. Like we weren't into like sweets and things like that.
Was it free range and organic?
No, not like that. But it was all home cooking.
Yeah, sure.
Right? We did a good job. But when he used to go round to my mum's when she was still in our lives, and like she would just feed them all sorts of sweets and sugars and all just like, it's a grandparent thing. I mean, I can't really blame her for that. That's not something I'm like,
it's a universal grandparent thing.
Yeah, it was, and his teeth got bad. Now, I would say that the whole cleaning the teeth thing is very difficult. It was difficult to get him to clean his teeth. That was a hard thing to do. And some days we were like, I just can't be bothered with that. That was one of my regrets, that I wasn't hard on him about cleaning his teeth. But I have to admit, I don't always clean my teeth every day. So, But essentially he went in for, he had bad teeth and he had to have some teeth taken out. All baby teeth, by the way. Like they grew back. His teeth are fine, but they were baby teeth. That was a surgery. Then when he was at school, he was in the playground in primary school and he fell over and he, playing around with another kid. They were just chasing each other around the playground. He fell over and he broke his finger.
Nasty.
Then we, took him to hospital and they had to put a bandage and they had to he had to have surgery
and reset
to reset it. Yeah. Again, nothing to do with parenting. And the last two was he, as an adult this year, he was doing sports. He had an injury from climbing, and then he had an injury when he was doing football. He got badly tackled, and he had a torn ACL in his knee.
Ouch.
And another torn tendon in his knee, and he had to have 2 separate surgeries. He's now recovering at this moment in time from the second surgery. And he went and did the surgery by himself. At the time he first figured out there was something wrong with his knee, he was 23. And he went to the doctor by himself. And I'm always there. I'm always there in the background, like, do you need my help? And my kids, most of the time, are like, no, I've got this.
That's what
he went to the doctor. He figured out what was wrong. He went for all his scans. His girlfriend went with him. She was his support through all of this. I wanted to be his support, but I was like, well, no, this is how it is now, is that she's the support. Like Sylvia's my support, and now she's the support. And as a parent, it's kind of hard to let that go in a weird way, but also you're very happy to let that go.
Yeah, well, that's just
because
you're growing up.
Well, exactly. He's growing up, and she's a great partner. She's a great human. Like I said, me and her just watching the Minions movie together was hilarious because I bought 2 cuddly toy Minions, and instead of her going, well, I'm not having that, she was like, I want that one.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like,
good energy.
This. Oh yeah, I absolutely love that girl.
Great.
Absolutely love her. And he went and did the surgeries, and he's recovering, and he's doing everything. And if he needs me, I'm here. And exactly the same as when he was like 8 or 9 years old, he gets hit in the face with a ball. If he needs me, I'm here. I'm there for him. But because I was able to just be like, no, you'll get through this. You'll do this. It's fine. But as soon as you over coddle them, they're not going to learn to do things for themselves. They're not going to learn to be independent. And I know that's hard from a parent. I'm not sitting here going to parents, oh, you're a terrible parent because you're doing this, because it's not terrible parenting. At the time, you think it's good. At the time, you think you're doing the right thing. But when they're adults, you realize that is not the right thing, because you could have an adult kid who's just sitting around playing video games all day and doesn't work, doesn't clean up, doesn't give a shit. And you're just running around after them. And it feels like, that episode of South Park where they're all sitting around playing World of Warcraft.
Mum,
and Carmen's mum just puts a bucket
that's a big one.
and he just shits in the bucket. And I'm like, that's mollycoddle parenting. That's what that is. It's just whatever.
Carmen's a great example of that.
Carmen is the perfect example.
He's a
of
great
a mum
example. You don't want a Carmen.
Mollycoddles the
You
shit
don't want a
out of them.
Carmen, everybody.
No, you don't want a Cartman. That is what you will get. You will get a Cartman. Because I remember, there was this little girl, same age as Sophie. She was like Sophie's friend. And the way she talked to her mum, she literally, I think, we're talking about year 7. So I can't remember, I don't know how old that is.
Like
year 7.
12, 13 maybe?
I don't think it's even that, man.
Maybe 10, 11?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
around
been a
about
long
there.
time since I was that age. Oof.
But she literally told her mum to fuck off. And her mum was like, oh, you shouldn't use that language. That's
Soft
not
hands, Hugo.
okay."
Soft hands. Soft hands, Hugo. Now, dude, I remember the first time I ever spoke back to my mum, and my dad gave me this look, and I was like, oh fuck. Yeah, dude, I used to play. So when I was like younger, playing football. Finished with this story, and then we'll wrap up. But my dad was the coach when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I was good at football, but every time there was a substitute that happened, it was always me. And I always used to be like, why are you always subbing me off, Dad? You're the coach. You're meant to be. And he went, I'm setting an example that nobody's bigger than the coach. He says, that's football. I'm like, right, okay, that's fine. And he always used to joke that I was like a James Milner sort of player, in that I could play in lots of positions, but I didn't excel in any of them. And I was like a good gadget player. But my dad was real, but he was real with me. He was real with me.
I don't know if that's okay.
Well, he was
building your kids up a little bit might be a little bit nicer.
But that was my dad. And,
it's old school Northerner. That's what that is.
Well, yeah, it's basically, yeah. It's not Billy Elliot's dad, but but then I ended up going to play for another team, and there was a lad who played on that team whose dad was the coach, and he would shout things to him on the pitch, and the kid would turn around and tell his dad to fuck off, like in front of everybody. Like constantly, like there were times where he got subbed off and he literally like walked past his dad and like threw his boots at him and stormed off and got in the car. And we were what, 10, 11, 12? I remember it vividly, absolutely vividly. The lad was called Adam, and he was a dick. Like, I was like, wow, he must have some real shit at home if that's what he's behaving like in front of 50, 60 people at a football pitch on a Sunday morning. Just blatantly just like would take his boots off and throw them at his dad and throw his jacket at him, and he used to call his dad by his first name. He never called him Dad. He'd always be like Andy. And this kid was like 10, 11. Like, that's not great. Not great. Weird situation. It's like I've only ever experienced one thing like that, but I can see it now. And throwing his boots at him.
I think to summarise, boundaries with like aggressive behaviour, boundaries with disrespectful behaviour, but those boundaries should never be physical. You should never shout. You should never scream at your kids, because that's also abuse. You just have to be like, okay, these are the consequences to your actions. Like, whatever those consequences are, I'm not here to tell you what those consequences are. Like, it's individual. Like, you have to figure that out, right? Like, I had to figure that out. Well, one of my consequences were, if you fuck about, I'm turning the internet
Every
off.
kid's different, right?
It's you. I literally just unplugged the router.
Oh, this is the old school.
If you fuck about, I'm taking your phone away. I'm paying for that phone. That's my phone. That phone that you're holding belongs to me. I paid for it. I pay the contract on it. That's my phone. You are borrowing my phone. And if you talk to me like I'm an asshole, you don't get to borrow. I'm going to take my phone back. That phone doesn't belong to you. In fact, nothing you have, your clothes, your TV, your bedroom, you're borrowing that. That's all mine. And until you pay for stuff yourself, you can't say that it's yours. And because I was like that my kids went and worked from a very young age and bought and paid things for themselves. My son had a phone contract that he paid for himself when he was 18.
I get that.
And he was like, now this is my phone and you can't take it away from me. And I was like, damn right, I can't take it away from you.
I was the same, to be fair.
But I can turn the internet off.
Yeah. I was a bit like that, dude. I bought... I was like that with an Xbox. My mum kept taking the Xbox off me. A very, very similar sort of explanation that you gave. And then when I was like 17, I started doing cleaning. I was younger than that. Would have been about 15. I spent one summer where I was a cleaner at my dad's office, and at the end of the summer, I bought myself an Xbox.
I really like your parents. we need to hang. We need to hang. But yeah, that's it. And people will say, "Oh, it's that's mean." Look, trust me, from a person who was genuinely abused as a child, like proper abuse, but didn't have boundaries. I was abused without boundaries, and then I brought my kids up trying not to abuse them as best I possibly could from being a traumatized child. But I put those boundaries in place. And then my kids literally from teenagers were working. And Sophie went and did university and moved to Cornwall and was independent and rented her own properties and applied for her own grants. And she did everything herself. And now she started her own business. No one's going to do it for
you when you're older, man.
Exactly. And I've always said, I am there as a safety net if you need me. But if you need me, you're gonna hear about it. I'll be like, you remember that time I did that thing for you? No, I'm just okay. I hate that, by the way. I'm just joking. I never use me doing nice things for my kids as fodder in an argument later, because I just think that I think if you're going to do nice things for your kids, do nice things for your kids. Don't use it as like
collateral.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh yeah, do you remember I did that thing for you? How dare you speak to me like that? It's no.
Yeah, it doesn't work. You don't do things for your kids as ammunition.
Also,
later on,
just quickly before we go, this is very, very important. This is where I think I failed my son. Is in the years, especially being neurodivergent when he has alexithymia, and he didn't always want to be around us, which is a very neurodivergent, normal thing. Mm-hmm. I think because of my RSD, I would take it super personally that he somehow hated me.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Because with my dad, I was desperate for his attention. And then I was always spending time with my brother, and then he passed away. And so I never really had a father figure that I could spend time with. So
learn from.
I wanted to, or learn from, yeah. So I felt like when I had a son, I wanted to be that father figure that was, in his life that he could come to. And I would my kids used to call me like a TV dad, that I always had like what have we learned today, kids? That
Power
sort of
friendship.
At the end of
it's
He-Man.
The friends we made along the way.
Yeah, or at the end of He-Man sort of thing, and or Carl at the end of South Park. So there's always, what did we learn today?
I think we learned something today, guys.
Yeah, I was the TV dad, and that completely made sense because most of my positive role models were from television. Yeah, so I was acting like them. That was my go-to thing. But I certainly when he was older, and especially during COVID, he would just lock himself in his bedroom. So when he did come down, instead of me saying, "Oh, it's really great to see you, son," and then just chatting with him, I'd be like, "Oh, creature's come out of his lair."
Oh, nice of you to join us. Yeah.
And then what he told me, and I'll never forget this, and I guarantee you, if you're that parent that's doing what I was doing, you want to listen to this. He just said to me, he goes, the main reason I don't come out of my room is because when I do, you do that. And I was like, oh.
Good parenting lesson there, though.
Shit.
Very good parenting lesson.
But then I think he was able to tell me that and communicate that to me because I brought him up with his own independence, because I brought him up to speak up and be independent. Mm. And that was a big kick in the face for me. And I just apologized. And I was like, I will never do that again. And ever since then, it has been a lot better.
I think that's one of the things that I'm so grateful about with the way that my parents raised me, is they taught me from a very young age that I have boundaries as well. Mm. In that if my mum said something to me and she upset me and I said that upset me, she didn't tell me to get a thick skin. She was like, I'm sorry that upset you. There was an accountability on both ends. I think that's one of the things that my parents absolutely nailed.
Yeah.
Is that when my dad shouted at me and took it too far, he would apologise and say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. That was too much.
And that's exactly what I did. I think I'm very, very similar to your dad in that way, is that I would get upset. I would have meltdowns.
Oh yeah, my parents are autistic. Yeah. They would have meltdowns.
I would have meltdowns, but I would always apologize and take responsibility for my actions, and I wouldn't.
You're not above the law of, I think I've experienced that with other people when I've seen parents, is that they have that do as I say, not as I do, and they do behaviours that they wouldn't want their kids to do, And then not only do they not apologise for it, they double down and go, well, I don't have to because I'm the parent. And yeah, I'm not a fan of that. But I'll tell you what, man, I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been really interesting. And as somebody who's not a parent, and probably isn't, well, I very much doubt that I ever will be a parent. I'm contributing to the declining birth rate.
You're a dog daddy.
Yeah, I'm a dog daddy. I have a child, and she's a 9-year-old,
boundaries in place,
slightly overweight pug. My little piggy. But yes, it's been an interesting conversation because obviously it's very easy to have an opinion when you have no experience. So thanks for sharing your experience today, mate. So that's been your episode of the Neurodivergent Experience this week. We will be back on the Autistic Culture Podcast Network next week, and check out your feed tomorrow because we have another super spicy hot topic.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, it's my birthday. Happy birthday. All right, bye everybody. Be kind, be safe.
Night,
Thanks for tuning in to the Neurodivergent Experience. We hope today's episode sparked something for you, whether it's a new idea, a bit of validation, or just a moment of connection. Remember, new episodes are every week, so be sure to join us for the next one for more conversations and insights into the neurodivergent experience. If you've enjoyed this podcast, help us grow. You can do that by rating and reviewing this show. Your support makes a huge difference in helping us reach more people who could benefit from these conversations. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just search for the Neurodivergent Experience. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, take care of yourself. You're not alone in this journey. Thanks for listening. Support autistic-led media through Autistic Culture Plus and enjoy bonus content, early episodes, and ad-free listening. Visit autisticculture.supercast.com to learn more.